Matthew, just click forward for me. And I'm going to want you to draw on your paper some of what I will be talking through. But the two questions that we'll be processing in this mapping your journey experience is, what's your leadership challenge? And how can I make it a more conscious one? So part of our purpose, part of what the leadership forum is about, is expanding conscious leadership, broadening our aperture, broadening our understanding, connecting to others. So keep those questions in your mind as we're going through this. Matthew, next slide. And if we think about our past experiences with challenges, there's generally a move from a point in time, call it a here, to a there. And Maha and Brooke, thank you for insinuating about slopes and challenges, because that's going to connect a little bit with some of this. So we could look at this slope and we could project thoughts of, why does a challenge need to be upward? Why can't it be maybe flatter? And maybe there's some other elements to it that, how many people's reality is really a straight line from here to there? Matthew? Perhaps go back one slide. Perhaps this is a little more resonant of what your experience can be like or has been like. And perhaps it's even wilder than that. So for a moment, draw a line from here to there and reflect on one of your own experiences and how you might have gotten from here to there.
Yo, can I just share this? This is my visual bio of my entire career that I have in a, just models this. So I keep this on my desk every day to remind me of where I started, how I got here, and where I'm going next. So I just wanted to share that with you.
Thank you, Todd. You are always one to supplement the conversation. You know, I see stair steps, I see the discontinuity and continuity of steps and linear and loops and probably many other things. I am wildly curious to see other people's. You can hold them up to the screen as Todd just did. You can share it with somebody next to you, only if you want to. These are challenge by choice moments. But there is a journey from here to there. I see people leaning in. I don't see any on the screen, and that's your choice. That's okay. Excellent. So what we're going to do is, Matthew, I'm going to walk people backwards through like one of my experience or my challenge right now. So the next slide we're going to talk about is, when we think about our challenge, we need to think about our environment. It's almost like we're looking out through a telescope and we're looking out into the environment in which we're in. So for me, as I think about my challenge, my environment is, and where my challenge is in a tech Silicon Valley organization that's moving super fast, and there is lots of pressure there. So that's kind of my environment. In specific, my challenge that exists in that environment that I want to address is I have come from, because we always have a from story, I have come from a field of leadership development that is highly relational, highly facilitated, and I am now in a world that is heavily focused on the value of project management. And what's the other one? So project management and tech. These are my two biggest weaknesses. So what has always been an extreme strength for me is now less of a value. Often the ticket to get in something is to have kind of those foundational skills that everyone values. And I am feeling this discontinuity. I am still having lots of success. I want people to hear that. But there are moments of questioning and confidence that are being challenged. So we need to think about our environment and walk our way back then to the next slide, which focuses in on self. You've heard some of the self-awareness come up around me reflecting about the environment. So I need to be looking in the mirror. I need to be taking stock of my values and beliefs, assessing some of the congruence, but it's about knowing self in this self space on the way into addressing this challenge. The next slide is thinking about what I need to learn. And this is skills, this might be frameworks, this might be models. So there's lots that goes into kind of learning here, kind of tactical skill stuff, not as much the inner learning, okay? So I need to sign up for a better project management class. I need to, look at LinkedIn. I need to carve out time to play with Chat GPT. Ken, as I'm looking at it, because we were in that circle around AI and partnering. I need to do that. I'm the only one that can do that. So the next step on this is others. And I don't want us to define this as othering people. This is just how it plays into an acronym that we'll get to that helps us remember this. So I'm sorry, I'm othering or not, but let's think about others as being the stakeholders that are a part of the journey, because we know it's about relationships. And something I said to Maha and Brooke this morning that's been incubated in my head is relationships enable ripples. Relationships enable ripples. And by golly, we're going to experience ripples at times in our life. But how can I partner with my peers, with other people to be more effective? So then there's practice. And I'm so glad you all were talking and modeling practice today, because we need to find opportunities to practice. And this is very different than learning, because learning is sometimes that horizontal learning where we're reading more books, we're getting more degrees. There's all of these things that are contributing to us. But practice involves much more of kind of a vertical approach where you're going to go through failure and you need to understand that and expect that. But how do you find opportunities to practice? So the next slide here is the blending, of course, of self and others on this journey. And we're starting now to think about your challenge and what's your leadership slope. So next slide. So this is the full model framework. Chris Ream and I, actually, is another person that's been a part of the leadership forum. We created this formula and this model framework. And I gotta say, when we were creating it, I told Chris, I'm like, the last thing the world needs is another damn leadership framework. And then talking to other friends and colleagues, people have also said, you know, a framework is really helpful until it's not. And I think frameworks come out of our journey and our work of making sense of how to be the best leaders. So take it or leave it. Maybe it helps you or it doesn't. But now what I want to give you is I'm going to give you about 5 minutes on your own. Click the next slide for a moment. Click the next slide. To go through this process, you're going to have 5 minutes. You're going to map your challenge using slope. Because I do believe that each of those components are a part of our leadership challenge, are a part of what we need to go through. There's degrees of self-awareness, there's degrees of learning, there's degrees of partnering with others, and of course, there needs to be that focus of practice, but start with the E. Start with your environment, your world. What is your challenge in your world? And then work through that. So we will get into a little bit of a sharing for 10 minutes at the end. There will not be a report out. I'm not going to read the rest of the steps. Let me look in chat to see if there are any questions. Todd, I love your comment. All models are wrong, but some are useful. Absolutely. And at different life stages and at different points in our time, some of these frameworks and models land and sometimes they don't. That's okay. So I'm going to be quiet for 5 minutes and then you'll get about probably 8 minutes in a triad here in the room or a triad online in breakouts. Any questions? Just to let everyone know, you have about 1 minute before we go into some breakouts. So many of us in the field are Brené Brown fans, of course, and she often talks about that crappy first draft, right? So you may or might not have had enough time, but I hope you got a little bit of something down. And when you go into just a little bit of a triad here, I'm hoping that each can share what their challenge is. You're only going to have 8 minutes. So get into it quickly and share and just offer any words of support, feedback you might, but at least be sharing. There's power in sharing your intentions as you strive towards something. I can't cite the research on it right now, but it is a thing. So Matthew, you can open the groups, self-organizing here. You'll get in a group, a triad. That's 3 of you. Yep, Faith is coming on over there, it looks like. And we will see you back just before halfway through this hour. Just because you're great, everyone online, welcome back. I'm seeing faces come back. Great, welcome. I wish I could have a debrief. As a facilitator, I love hearing people's breakout experiences and such. But I know we're not going to be able to do that. So I'm going to speak loudly in the room too. There might be some unfinished business, but look at the people that are in your group and online. Consider the people that you were with. And accountability partners are real. So if you all want to follow up and support each other, make sure that people are following through on one next step, then that's the goal. That's what I wanted you to get to is what's your leadership slope? How do you make your journey to addressing that challenge more conscious around self-learning, other perspectives, getting practice? That's the journey. And Matthew, if you'll go back one slide, I think it's back one slide. One more. This might be part of what your journey looks like. The emotional journey of creating anything great. And this comes from an elementary school's classroom. A couple of people in the room may have seen it before. I'm going to walk through it just for a moment. Sometimes when we start a challenge, there's the energy of, this is the best idea ever. And let's also acknowledge sometimes that's not the energy in the beginning for everyone. It could be like, oh shit, I got to do something. So sometimes though, this will be fun. And then you get to, this is harder than I thought. And this is going to be a lot of work. And then this stinks. I have no idea what I'm doing. Maybe confidence is being challenged during the challenge, and you're kind of down here in the black swamp of despair. And whether it's Courage of Care or whether it's any of the other people this week that we're talking about wellness, there's this bridge of support that gets us through our challenge. And those are our beliefs, our friends, family, humor. Who needs humor sometimes? Grit and deep breaths. And then hopefully on the journey, we're heading back up the slope. Okay, but it still stinks. I've got my support, but it still kind of stinks. Okay, yeah, I made it far enough. I'm gonna quit and be satisfied with what I've landed on. And then maybe it starts to, through the practice, you start to feel a little bit better. And it's, hey, wow. And then always think about that ending energy from your previous successes that can help you get to the end. The overcoming energy, the celebration energy, so that continues and helps you along your way. Okay, I am 2 minutes over. Turn to the person next to you when you're in the room and look at them and say thank you for listening to your challenge, maybe offering support out there online. Send a quick message to somebody. Say thank you for listening. Thank you for being some support, giving me ideas, but it is great to sometimes just share. And now in the room, I want to invite everyone back up front. Come on up front, inside of the tables, outside of the tables. And I'm going to pass the mic to Faith, who is going to lead us towards the close. But I am going to pause and say one commercial. So this is your 1.5 minute commercial for the Leadership Forum. We are a membership organization. If you're not a member, please consider being a member. We think about our members as givers, ones that enable access for other people to have experiences like many people would not have been here. We used a lot of scholarship money, And we're excited that our registrations, a portion of that goes to scholarships. And we're excited that coming out of this, we're going to have extra registration dollars that can further support scholarships and our operations. In this, I've got to give a big shout out to National Grid, the family that's here. With National Grid, stand on up, everyone. I know there's 4 in the room. All strength. To expand conscious leadership, it's a we. It takes lots of resources that sometimes we have in our life and sometimes we don't. There are people that have paid to be here in the past, and then there's people that have been scholarship now based on their journey. We all need support sometimes. Reach out, support each other, invite others. But thank you. There's your little one. We're also, the end of the commercial is last year we had a leadership challenge summit that was in New York City. And this year we will have a leadership challenge again halfway through. Be a little smaller kind of part day thing, like 3 hours. We will be doing one of those. The location is yet to be released. So we will tell you later. Ooh, thank you. Oh, here is Faith.
Thank you, Joel. So it's been so nice to connect with all of you. And the last thing that we're going to talk about is, in addition to the New York City Summit, we are going to be rolling out something called the Conscious Leadership Essentials. So we've walked you through a lot of conscious leadership. Awareness, intention, and action has been what we've been, are the things that we've been going through throughout the last few days. So, and the one thing that I hope you have gathered from this is that everybody's leadership journey is different. To what Joel just presented, it's not always a straight line. And sometimes some individuals look straighter than others. Sometimes they look windier. I feel like mine looks like this. Maybe with some sharper curves, some all the way turning around. But everybody's journey is different. And that's part of the element of conscious leadership. And so we've created a comprehensive fee-based program that's going to have a cost to it. It will be $990. But at the end of it, you're going to receive a conscious leadership certificate. We're going to roll it out in January 2024 with a pilot this fall. And what will that program look like? It's going to be 3 trimesters. It's going to be 6 to 8 weeks of each trimester. We're going to use the platform Participate as our way of communicating with everybody, creating community online. Each trimester is going to be self-paced. So the reason why we're going to be doing that is because it's going to be learning by doing. So we're going to roll out the trimester, give you the information for the specific week or the specific month. And there's going to be actual actions that we want you to practice, that element of practice that Joel just talked about. We want you to go into your workplace, into your communities, into your churches, into your friend groups, and practice what we're actually going to be teaching you. And then report back what you've been learning. So this is what the trimester will look like. First is knowing, growing, and transforming self. And you know, it's probably a little small for people in the room, but those are some of the topics that we're going to be talking about. Trust, empathy, forgiveness, visioning, empowering, influencing. Then we're going to have leadership communication. Todd Churches out here virtually. He's our expert in visual learning, visual communication. So he's going to be one of our provocateurs and one of our professors to help us understand this more. And then leading the way forward. What does that strategic direction look like? Strategic planning, DEI, building a community. So. So in your booklets, my email is in the booklet. We are going to be running a free pilot of one of our classes this fall. If you'd like to either be part of that free pilot and participate, shoot me an email. It's easy. I can just, it's leadershipforumcommunity.org. But it is in your booklets. And if you want to be part of that, shoot me an email. If you want to learn more about this, also shoot me an email. Or if you want to participate and potentially lead one of these classes and create some of the videos that we're going to be posting for everybody, create some of the activities that we're going to be rolling out, also let me know. Any questions? Any questions online? See you all out there.
Hey,
Robert.
if I can introduce it to some people I'm connected with, who in this, your realm would take the questions? Okay, thank you.
Any questions? Questions online? Okay, so our final thing are our thank yous. So I think first and foremost, the people that we need to thank the most are Vanessa here in person. Thank you for being here. And her co-chair, Mark. Mark, there you are. Let's see you.
Hey, everyone. Thank you.
We would not all be here today if it wasn't for Vanessa and Mark's leadership in our planning team, their passion for this topic, their passion for creating something beautiful, wonderful, experiential for all of you here, all of you online. Our first hybrid in-person hybrid summit. We could not have done it without them. They thought about everything that could possibly go right, everything that could possibly go wrong. We put in plans to make sure that it ran as smoothly as possible. They dedicated many, many hours to this. And I just want all of us online, if you could come off mute, like Joel has done before, let's give them a round of applause.